Hey everyone, this is Ill Factor from beatacademy.com. Thanks for watching. And normally on this channel, I'm sharing music production tips and techniques while breaking down songs that you can currently hear on the charts. And throughout those videos, I'm sharing a lot of the technical and practical ways that you can implement those tips into your projects. But in this video, I want to answer some questions from subscribers to this channel that I think are really important because yes, while the sound design and production tips are really helpful, it's also good to know that there's a lot of things just mentally that you go through as producing music for a living. So one question was left on a recent video, and this comes from one guy, and he's writing, "I'm having trouble finding brand new ideas. I feel like everything I do keeps sounding like the same song over and over again." So it's a great question, struggling with how do you break out of a cycle where all the ideas that you're starting or doing just basically sound the same. Well, one thing that has helped me throughout my career of producing music for a living, that's gotten me out of that cycle. And let me just share with you that that cycle is going to happen more often than just once in your life. You're going to find yourself in that hamster wheel or in that rut a couple of times. That's okay. That's just a normal part of this process. And so when you find out that all the things you're doing just pretty much sound similar or sound alike, or they sound pretty much the same, then what I would encourage you to do is purposely stepping out of your comfort zone, try reproducing or remaking or just kind of like yeah, copying some techniques or specific aspects of other types of music. I know this sounds really obvious, but the thing is, we tend to go about making and creating music just by pure emotion or how we're feeling or just kind of with the flow. I know I do. And so very rarely do I have a formulaic plan laid out as to when I'm spending time working on music. That's if I'm not working on a project. And when I'm just got some downtime and I just want to create some music, I kind of find myself in that little rut. So one thing you could do is say, okay, you know what? This time I'm going to purposely bring in a two track into my session, maybe from another type of genre, something completely different than what I'm used to making. And I'm going to try to recreate it. Quite similar to what you would notice on my channel. If you subscribe or if you've seen any other videos on my channel, you'll know that a lot of times I'm breaking down songs, and some of these songs are just not even near the type of music that I would personally create. But what it does is that it challenges me to learn a couple things in the creative process and to learn a couple things from just mimicking some of the techniques applied in those songs that will automatically inspire me to go in a whole nother direction. So what I'm getting at is sometimes when you're deliberate or intentional about going in another direction, you can find inspiration that'll kind of help you meet yourself in the middle. What I mean by that is you're still going to gravitate. And the reason why you're doing a lot of music that sounds the same and you're producing a lot of tracks that sound the same is because you gravitate to it. You enjoy music that sounds like that specific vibe. So when you purposely step out of that, you find yourself in a cool middle ground where you're borrowing some new techniques and then you're kind of blending in the typical DNA that you normally have when you create music, and then you find yourself in the middle. So that's one way that I think would be really helpful to get out of that rut. Another question here, and this is coming from 420 Gamer X No Scope 69. Sorry if I butchered that, but what's the most effective way to become a better producer? At the moment, I feel like my attention is so spread out, learning theory, instruments, composition, all kinds of production techniques, mixing, etc. Yeah, so especially nowadays, you could totally suffer from paralysis by analysis. So much information out there. There's even a lot of things I cover on my channel, let alone overwhelmed with all the information that's out there. And so you feel like you're juggling all these things, but you're not really spending enough intentional time to see any fruit from that. So um, this one's going to sound pretty simple, but I don't mean it to it's going to be a simple answer, and that is literally just taking it one step at a time. Instead of worrying about mixing, what I would do is step back and say, what is the thing that's really the most natural and the most easiest for me to start and to be motivated by in my music production process. For instance, if you're finding it really easy to sound design or program beats or just work on drums and manipulate them, getting them sounding good, or creating like a dope 8 bar riff or a loop, but yet the mixing part is, way off, or the lyrical or melody or composition is off, then what I would advise you to do is, you know that creating the beat or making programming drums comes naturally and easiest to you. So dedicate a time where you're just similar to what I mentioned earlier. You're throwing in a couple tracks in your sessions, and you're taking the time to analyze some of those tracks, the melody. So, like, if the weakest link for you is your melody, coming up with different melodies for your songs, then put in a couple songs in there that with melodies you enjoy, analyze them, try to replay them on a piano roll, see the differences between the intervals and from one note to the next. And just become more familiar with that. Now, another way to do that is invite somebody into the process, because your weakness could be somebody else's strength, and you would see how much further along you'd get in the collaborative process of allowing someone to kind of bridge in the gap for you there. So that's something I think could be really beneficial. But being overwhelmed with way too much means that you need to stop and focus on on what you're already capable of doing, and then just taking the next step from there. If you're making beats really well, try coming up a little bit more on the sound designing thing. If your sound designing game is pretty well, then notch it up to something else, and just taking it one step at a time. Well, I hope these questions, maybe you related to them. Maybe you're watching this and like, yeah, that's something I struggle with too. I hope this has been encouraging and helpful for you guys. And by the way, this is what I love doing. Aside from producing music for a living, I love aspiring, encouraging, and helping artists, music producers, and musicians take their next step with their music career. So definitely visit beatacademy.com and take advantage of all the resources that I have available there to help you achieve your music production goals. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like this video so you can stay up to date with upcoming videos. There's a lot more breakdowns. And then let me know in the comment section below, what are some of the struggles that you're currently having with your music production? And hopefully I'll answer them in an upcoming video like this. Thanks and take care.